Yeah, it's time to start now. Neeraj sir, can I start? Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
my voice is audible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
can we start?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone who are attending this international webinar. And I am Dr. Neeraj on behalf of IP Delhi branch and ARAP, that is a Association of Regulatory Affairs Professional India. So on their behalf, I welcome our international speaker, Dr. Tehran Mohammadabadi. She is associate professor at Agriculture Science and Natural Resource University of Khuzestan, Awad, Iran. So, Dr. Pawan, I am forwarding to you to handle the rest and give a brief introduction of Dr. Tehran.
Yeah,
Over to you, Pawan.
sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, very good afternoon and a hearty welcome to the glorious online gathering. I, Dr. Pavan, governing body member of the area, on the behalf of Association of Regulatory Affairs Professional and the Indian Pharmaceutical Association Delhi State Branch, take immense pleasure in welcoming you all for the international webinar on milk lactoferrin as antiviral agent and management of COVID-19. With due permission of Dr. Sangamesh Puranik sir, President ARAP, and Mr. Kalan Bajaj sir, President IPA Delhi State Branch, and our coordinators of this ARAP IPA DSB webinar series, Dr. Neeraj Kumar sir and Tausif Ahmed sir, we are going to start today's session. Today on the 7th webinar of our joint webinar series, I feel privileged to have been given the opportunity to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Tahereh Mohammadabadi. She's Associate Professor of Agricultural Science and Natural Resources, University of Khuzestan, Awaz, Iran. She's working as an academic member, researcher, and teacher since last 11 years. She has been as a researcher at Queensland University, Australia. She has been as a supervisor for 9 PhD students and more than 25 MSc students, and also guided more than 40 PhDs and master's projects. She has been presented many papers at various seminars and has been a speaker at various workshops and conferences, and also published around 150 articles in many journals. She also translated 6 books on phytochemicals and microbes, probiotics, and bioactive components in the milk, and 1 book on medicinal properties of camel milk under publishing. She is a member of the editorial board and reviewer of some international and national journals. She isolated some biologic enzymes from gut microorganisms of animals, such as the tannin degrading bacteria, lactic acid bacteria, and cellulitic bacteria as probiotics, and currently started to isolate lactic acid bacteria from camel milk and its fermented products to make a commercial probiotic. She's working on making tablets and supplements from a camel milk lactoferrin as a strong antiviral, especially against the respiratory viruses. Currently, she is working as an associate professor, Department of Animal Science and Food Technology in Agricultural Science and Natural Resources University, Khuzestan, Awaz, Iran. We are all indeed fortunate to have you as our resource person, ma'am. Without taking much of anybody's time, and for the sake of all those who are eagerly waiting to hear from you, including me, I request you to start today's lecture. Welcome, ma'am. Now, over to
Yes,
you.
okay. Yeah, okay. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Hoping all of you be in good health in this pandemic. I'm very happy to join you to this webinar series on COVID-19. These days, all of us, we are busy with this war. At least our thinking is busy about COVID-19. I'm going to talk on milk lactoferrin as antiviral agent and management of COVID-19. Sorry, you hear my voice?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. At first, we want to know what is lactoferrin. Lactoferrin is one iron-binding protein, glycoproteins, part of transferrin family. It was firstly isolated from bovine milk, and it can chelate to iron. The iron binding ability of lactoferrin is very high, so it can inhibit the microbial growth and formation of reactive oxygen species. This glycoprotein is found most highly in milk and cholesterol milk. After bovine milk, the lactoferrin was isolated from other livestock milk, such as camel, sheep, and goat. And lactoferrin also can produce in high amount by neutrophil and mucosal epithelial cells in some species, such as human, cow, goat, and horses. Lactoferrin has some physiological activities, such as regulation of iron absorption, protection against microbial infections, and other effects such as the antibacterial, antiviral, anti-cancer, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-protozoan, antifungal, and immune modulatory effects. According to these properties, so lactoferrin is regarded as nutraceutical supplement. What is the structure of lactoferrin? Lactoferrin contains 600 to 700 amino acid residues, and in addition to iron, lactoferrin can bind the manganese, copper, and zinc ions. The structure of lactoferrin is composed of alpha helix and beta sheets, and it's divided to two lobes, including C and N lobe. These two lobes connected by one peptide. You see here the three-dimensional structure of bovine lactoferrin. And two lobes of lactoferrin, they are highly homologous. And these two lobes divided into two domains, and each lobe binds one iron, and the iron binding site of both lobes and amino acid sequences of lactoferrin, they are has high identity with all other iron binding proteins, means they are very same to each other. You see here the structure of lactoferrin and some of its peptides, such as the lactoferricin and lactoferrampin. They are also, their activity are also similar to lactoferrin, even more stronger than lactoferrin. You see the structure of lactoferrin and the iron binding site of lactoferrin in N lobe. Apolactoferrin is free of iron, but hololactoferrin is binded with iron. And hololactoferrin has higher resistance to proteolysis. The iron withholding capacity of lactoferrin causes to antimicrobial and immune modulation effects. And without iron binding ability, lactoferrin can interact with bacterial and viral cells and inhibit their attachment to the cell receptors. And according to studies, there is no significant differences between iron binding and non-iron binding forms of lactoferrin in antiviral activity. The important source of lactoferrin is milk. The concentration of lactoferrin in bovine milk is from 1.5 to 485 microgram per milliliter, but in cholesterol milk, it is higher than this amount. Lactoferrin in bovine milk, in other studies, they are indicated. The lactoferrin in bovine milk can be up to 0.35 to 0.5 milligram per milliliters. And the highest amount of lactoferrin was for human milk. But the donkey milk has the lowest content of lactoferrin. And it is proved the cow milk has a lower concentration of lactoferrin in comparison to human milk. It was about 0.83 milligrams per milliliter in cholesterol milk and 0.09 milligram per milliliter in normal milk. Camel milk is one important and precious source of lactoferrin. According to many researchers, it is proved that camel milk has a higher amount of lactoferrin in comparison to other livestock species, and it is much more than other lactoferrins like cow, buffalo, goat, sheep, donkey, and mare milk. And the lactoferrin concentration in camel milk was 10 times higher than cow milk. In bacterian camel, it was around 2 milligrams per milliliter, and in other studies, they indicated the camel milk lactoferrin in both species, bacterian and dromedary camels, it was around 0.22 milligrams per milliliter. You see here the lactoferrin concentration in milk of different species. As you see here, camel milk has the highest level of lactoferrin in compared to other livestock, except human milk. This variation, as you see here in different studies in lactoferrin, is because of differences in milk yield, lactation period, feeding, samples, breeds, and analysis methods. The concentration of lactoferrin in camel and bovine cholesterol was highest in first day after parturition, and after that it will be decreased. And the highest amount of lactoferrin for camel milk was 2 days after parturition. In other study, they showed it. And camel milk lactoferrin, the first week after parturition, it will be reached to 1.4 milligrams per milliliter. And after 1 month, it will be reduced to 0.34 milligrams per milliliter, and it was lower than this amount in bovine milk. As I said in earlier slides, milk lactoferrin has many activities. We review some of them here. One of its function is its effect on immune responses. Lactoferrin boosts the immune responses and protect the host cell against bacterial and viral infections and inflammation. And immune modulatory effects of lactoferrin are due to its binding to lipopolysaccharides and neutralizing the interaction between lipopolysaccharides and toll receptors. An antimicrobial action of lactoferrin on the cell surfaces is because of some reasons, such as preventing of proliferation and adhesion of microbes, and the stabilizing of microbes and destroying of microorganisms. And the lactoferrin has other effects, such as the modulation of cytokine, chemokine production, and the production of reactive oxygen species and peroxides, and the stimulation of phagocyte capacity of immune cells and lytic activity, and activation, differentiation, proliferation, and motility of immune cells, such as macrophages, neutrophils, basophils, and B and T cells and dendritic cells. Lactoferrin can transport into the nucleus, bind to DNA, and activate the signaling pathway. And also, it is shown the anti-inflammatory effect of lactoferrin through inhibition of pro-inflammatory cytokines, such as gamma interferon and interleukins. And also, lactoferrin has other effects, so it can regulate the inflammation and immunity. One other activity of milk lactoferrin is antibacterial effect. Lactoferrin has bacteriostatic and bactericidal activity. Bacteriostatic function of lactoferrin is due to its ability to bind iron. And bactericidal function of lactoferrin is due to some reasons, such as direct interaction with bacterial surfaces and lipopolysaccharide, and damages the external membrane of gram-negative bacteria and increase in membrane permeability and stimulates the antibacterial action of lysozyme and other antibiotics. And lactoferrin has effect on gram-positive bacteria because it binds to anionic molecules of this bacteria like lipoteichoic acid and prevent the attachment of this bacteria to these host cells and bind bacterial adhesion to these host cells and inhibit the bacterial interaction with host cell receptors. You see here the inhibitory effects of lactoferrin against bacteria gram-positive and gram-negative, as I explained in previous slides, the mechanisms. And you see in this table the inhibitory effect of different type of lactoferrin against bacteria, the gram-positive, gram-negative, and some resistant bacteria, and also the effect of chemical lactoferrin on some important bacteria, pathogenic bacteria. One of most important activity of milk lactoferrin is antiviral effect. The antiviral activity of lactoferrin is against DNA and RNA viruses such as rotavirus, respiratory syncytial virus, herpes virus, and HIV. And lactoferrin is primary defense factor against mucosal infections and cell surfaces because it inhibits the viral adhesions and their entry into the host cells by some ways, like blocking the of binding to the cell receptors and direct binding to the host cells and viral particles and preventing the nuclear localization to the host cells. And both lactoferrins, they are effective in the early phase of viral infection, so they can prevent the virus entry and invasion to the host cells and avoid infections. And the inhibiting action of lactoferrin on viruses happens in the early phase of viral infection rather than inhibiting a virus replication in the host cells. And some other studies, they are indicated the viral effects of lactoferrin are through inhibition of viral entry into the host cells more than stimulation of immune cells. So both lactoferrin no had any differences in antiviral effects, but in some study they showed the upper form of lactoferrin was more potent than the hollow form. And the H and B lactoferrin, they are against envelope and non-envelope viruses such as adenovirus and enteroviruses. Both lactoferrin, they has strong activity against human immunodeficiency viruses like or HIV due to inhibition of viral replication in the host. And lactoferrin can block the internalization of some viruses into the host cells, such as poliovirus, herpes virus, and cytomegalovirus. And for hepatitis C virus and rotavirus, lactoferrin, especially canal lactoferrin, As I said, it's stronger than other lactoferrin, can inhibit the viral replication in the host cells rather than preventing the virus entry. Lactoferrin can neutralize the HSV virus and prevent the transcellular spread of this virus into the host cell. You see the antiviral action of lactoferrin, as I explained in previous slides, how it can bind to virus and how it can bind the receptor cells. So it prevents the infections by virus. One of most hypotheses for antiviral function of lactoferrin is it can block the viral receptor, especially heparan sulfate on the host cells. So it prevents the first connection between virus and host cells and can inhibit the infections. The bovine lactoferrin inhibited, and now we want to know what is the lactoferrin action on respiratory viruses. Lactoferrin inhibited the cell apoptosis and blocked the entry of viral ribonucleoprotein and prevented the viral aggregation in influenza A virus. So it can inhibit the influenza A virus infections. And lactoferrin also inhibited the respiratory syncytial virus absorption by blocking the internalization of this virus into the host cells. And lactoferrin can interact with F protein of this virus, so its infectivity and uptake will be inhibited. Human respiratory syncytial virus inhibited by bovine lactoferrin at concentration 10 times lower than human milk. It means the bovine lactoferrin was more stronger than human milk as antivirus. And for human parainfluenza A virus, also lactoferrin can be effective and prevent the virus absorption to the cell surfaces and inhibit the viral replication. The administration of lactoferrin about 1 gram in humans reduce the increase of camel milk Sorry, you hear my voice? I think there is some problems. Hello?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the camel milk lactoferrin has, as I said, the strongest antiviral activity. But there is not much information and not much researches on antiviral effect of camel milk lactoferrin. Camel milk lactoferrin behavior is unique among other lactoferrins, but the inhibition of camel milk lactoferrin is same to bovine milk lactoferrin. Since camel milk contains less citrate than cow milk, so the lactoferrin activity of camel milk will be higher. The camel milk lactoferrin stops the HCV entry and replication in the infected cells 2 times higher than lactoferrin of bovine, human, and sheep. It means it's stronger than those lactoferrins. Camel milk lactoferrin may directly interact with viral molecules or viral receptors on the cell surfaces to prevent the virus attachment to the host cells, and the virus entry and infection will be inhibited. Camel milk lactoferrin exhibited the antiviral activity against RNA and DNA viruses by neutralizing intracellular viral molecules and suppressing the virus replication in the cells. Okay, now we reached one most important part of this lecture. What is the connection between milk lactoferrin and COVID-19? I don't want to touch on COVID-19. I'm sure until now, all of us know much things, and we have much information about COVID-19. But one important point here, the boosting of immune system is beneficiary against viruses such as SARS-CoV-2. And one special immune booster can be milk lactoferrin, especially camel milk. As we know, the milk contains many bioactive matters. They cause the immunity against microbial infection. One of the most important of these matters in milk is lactoferrin. Milk lactoferrin has immune modulatory and anti-inflammatory properties and can strengthen the immune responses to viruses and prevent the microbial infection. And the nutritional supplements such as lactoferrin, they are useful against 19. But there are few clinical trials about using the milk lactoferrin as an antiviral or against COVID-19. Milk lactoferrin has antiviral supplement is against the broad range of viruses, including the SARS-CoV that is very close to SARS-CoV-2 that caused COVID-19. Most sequences of these two viruses, I mean SARS and COVID, and SARS-CoV and SARS-CoV-2, and also the receptor binding domain, they are homologous. So lactoferrin may inhibit the SARS-CoV invasion in the same manner with SARS-CoV. It is proved that lactoferrin inhibited the virus entry due to binding to heparan sulfate on the cell surfaces in murine coronaviruses and some coronaviruses such as the SARS-CoV. And in some COVID-19 cases, mortality happens not only due to viral infection, but cytokine storm syndrome also causes to distress and mortality because of COVID-19. But it is shown that lactoferrin can improve this state and reduce this production of the cytokines. You see here the antiviral action of milk lactoferrin against viruses. You can see here how the milk lactoferrin can prevent infection by viruses and inhibit the viral into the host cells. Even if there is no published research on lactoferrin effects on the SARS-CoV entry into the host cells, but the interaction between lactoferrin with heparan sulfate receptors on the cells, on the cell surfaces, happens in primary phase of virus infections, particularly in coronaviruses. So lactoferrin prevents the accumulation of viruses on the cell surface and inhibit the connection between virus and host cells, and it can prevent the viral infection. That is, this mechanism is observed for SARS-CoV, and maybe it be same for SARS-CoV-2. SARS-CoV has been binded to both receptors on the host cells, ACE2 receptor and heparan receptors. But SARS-CoV-2, it can bind the ACE2 receptor, but maybe it can bind the heparan sulfate receptor on the cells. So maybe these two viruses, they work same for attachment to the viral receptors on the host cells. But for SARS-CoV-2, there is no any published study for this attachment to heparan receptors on the host cells. And lactoferrin has 50% inhibitory on SARS-CoV, that is on human coronaviruses and very closely related to SARS-CoV. that is caused to COVID-19. So because these two viruses, as I said, they have high identity. So milk lactoferrin can be one protective factor for viral infection such as SARS-CoV-2. As the incidence of COVID-19 in breastfeeding infants was mild, maybe the milk for them works. Now we reach to conclusion. What we found from these materials, as I explained. Milk lactoferrin of livestock can modulate the immune responses to viral infections by binding to viral particles or receptors, and it is against viral attacks and reduce the severe infections. So it could be an adjunct treatment for more severe cases of COVID-19. And lactoferrin has immunomodulatory, antibacterial, and antiviral properties. So it can be a unique preventive agent against COVID-19 as well. The milk lactoferrin in powder or tablets as nutraceutical supplement can be novel promising methods against viral infection and as a drug carrier. But it needs more studies to verify the dosage and efficacy of lactoferrin on prevention and treatment of COVID-19. But there is one important point here. As the camel milk has the highest amount of lactoferrin and strongest antiviral activity in comparison with other milk, so it will be a great source of lactoferrin on the viruses as well as the COVID-19. But one important point is how to say milk lactoferrin and its antiviral efficacy, but it needs very long time for explaining, maybe in future. I'm thankful to the Indian Pharmaceutical Association and Dr. Pawan, Dr. Tosif, and Dr. Miraj. The other names I don't know, and sorry if I cannot say the other names. And thank you for your attention. Is there any question? I am here.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful presentation. Yeah, it's very interesting. So I request to the participants, if you have any question, please drop in the chat box. And
I think I explained in detail, and there is no any question from participant, I think.
yeah. So a few people are typing. So today we are lucky. We are having one expert from our country, Dr. Tejas Shende. He is a finest genetician and a scientist who is working in this domain. So I would like to hear from Dr. Tejas Shende how India will deal with this, because India is one of the largest milk producers, but we are not having that much of population of camels. So is there any institution is working on this topic, like lactoferrin activities? So I would like to hear from you, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please, sir.
Thank you, Pawan. Thank you, Pawan. And it was very nice to hear you, Tahereh. That was a very nice lecture and the topic also. I want to ask you few things related to this. Actually, first thing is India is the highest milk producer in the world, is true. But we have 50% of the buffalo population contributing to Indian milk production. You are getting my point, or am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tahereh?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. So buffalo contributes more than 50% of the total milk production of India. So how we can go for targeting buffalo is my first question. Second thing, how to isolate the lactoferrin from the milk. So, is any specific procedure to isolate or to just get the lactoferrin, and in what quantity it will get isolated or separated from the milk? And the third thing is, if anything related to lactoferrin production, the lactoferrin gene must have some effect on the lactoferrin production, I feel. Uh, have you done any work related to the genotyping of this lactoferrin gene in camel or in any other animal? So we can relate the genotype with the specific production of the lactoferrin. So these are a few queries which are very important, and if we'll go for this lactoferrin thing, as you explained, it's antiviral, antibacterial activity related to gram positive, gram negative bacteria. It's a very nice thing if we'll have uh, use of this thing. But and one more thing, if we'll consume a raw milk, how much helpful the raw milk consumption? Raw means it's pasteurized and everything, to immunomodulate our immune system. So these are the things, if you can throw some light on, actually.
Okay, thank you for your questions. Yes, now I am explaining about them. Yes, I know the most population of buffalo, they are in India. Maybe in, more than 90% buffalo in the world, they are in your country.
Yeah. And our total milk production is also 50%
Yes,
from the buffaloes, actually.
yeah. You know, as I explained, the important for lactoferrin source is milk. Okay, all of milk, they have this effect, and some most researchers, they are on bovine milk, bovine lactoferrin, and the human lactoferrin, and some of them on I mean antiviral or antibacterial on other things. And or sheep, I think, and some study or donkey and mare milk. What about buffalo? At least I didn't find any published research on, I mean, on antiviral, but it is no problem. The amount of lactoferrin only in camel milk is the highest than others. But bovine milk and buffalo milk, they are almost same. I mean, in level. But in fact, I really didn't find any research, but we can try to find its effect also. I mean, the buffalo lactoferrin. Maybe when people they did this research on lactoferrin, on milk lactoferrin, they know how access. I think they know how access to buffalo milk to examine it. Yes, thank you. You see here, I forgot this slide, but you remember me, remind me this. Okay, I think that table, if you opened it, it's better you, Pawan, Dr. Pawan, sorry.
Yeah.
You shared my screen. I want to
Yeah.
show the table.
Okay.
So,
Hold on.
of course, that
You
buffalo
can
milk,
share
as
your link. You can
sorry.
share your screen right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want
You man.
to show the table on lactoferrin amount. You see here, the highest amount is for camel milk, and buffalo. You see, the buffalo less than, what I mean, the mean less than cow. But the important is how we isolate them. You know, it means here in buffalo, you said about isolation. Yes, there is many methods for isolation. of lactoferrin and other proteins of milk, like chromatography, and you can find everywhere. Even if you ask, I can send for you the exact method. You see, here it means per 1 liter here. I don't know, you can see here. You see here this table?
Yes, yes.
See, for buffalo, we have in 1 liter buffalo milk, we can reach to 3.4 milligram lactoferrin. It means you can see here. I mean, I talk about this 3.2 milligrams per 1 liter buffalo milk. Okay, we can find it. So it is good source. It is good amount, I think. And about the other question.
Just to interrupt you, as you said, camel milk lactoferrin varies from 0.02 to 7.28 milligram per ml, and you are saying, and now as you said, it's in 1 liter, means 1000 ml. Actually, in 1000 ml of milk, the total quantity will be 3.2 milligram.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Let's, sorry, I explain now. I said about many researchers, and they found many variation in camel milk amount. Some of them say it is 0.22 milligrams. This is the general. Some of them they said 1.7 milligrams per milliliter, and some said like this. You can see here 7 milligrams per milliliter. This is a range from 0 to 2 milligrams per milliliter.
If it's 7.28 milligram per ml, then it's huge quantity. Actually, I feel.
Yeah, this is the range. I said this.
Yeah, it's range, but if we'll get half of that also, it's a big amount actually.
Big amount, yes. The highest amount of lactoferrin is for camel milk, but there is no much information, no any researches. You see here, this table is per liter. This table is milligram. The amount of this table is milligrams per liter. But here I change it to milligrams per milliliter. So we can get high amount of lactoferrin from 1 liter milk. If buffalo, cow, camel, goat, and you, no problem. But this is some research they did, and they isolated lactoferrin. As I said, I can send the exact method. And this is, you said about genetic. Yes, genetically, one factor can influence on milk lactoferrin and even other components. It's genetic, but genetically, I didn't study on lactoferrin of buffalo, cow, camel. What is the difference in as genetically? But of course, the genetic also has effect on the structure also. You know, the camel milk, the camel lactoferrin is stronger, and the amount of the milk lactoferrin of camel is the highest compared to other livestock, and it is the strongest. The strongest, why it's strongest? It's because of the lower citration in camel milk. When the citration will be lower in one milk, lactoferrin is stronger, has a stronger activity. It is because of citrate. But in the other milk, the citrate is high. When citrate be high, lactoferrin work in has lower activity. Of course, it depends to genetic also. And you said the other question was how much? How about raw and pasteurized? Yes.
Hello. Yeah.
The question was about raw milk and pasteurized milk. Yes.
Yeah. If we'll directly drink regularly the pasteurized milk,
Yes.
as we are drinking regularly, or we are using it, whether it will have any good effect on the immune system of our body in concern with the lactoferrin content, actually.
Yes, of course, for treatment, for every aim, the milk, the raw milk has the more effect. Let I show one thing here. Sorry, Dr. Pawan, I want to share again my, is it possible?
Okay.
I want to show one figure about this question. You know, for you can see here, you see these slides.
It's opening, I feel.
It's okay.
Yes,
Not yet.
visible, right?
You cannot see. You cannot see.
जब तूने खिताब दे दिया बेकार का बेकार है
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
See, yes, you can see here the pasteurizing of milk in camel, cow, and buffalo. Okay, the strongest activity, the strongest function, and also the highest amount is in raw milk, in raw camel, cow, and buffalo milk. If we sure about the hygiene condition. But you see here, when we do pasteurizing, you see here, when we do pasteurizing on 65 centigrade and 75, you can see here the lactoferrin. This one, the last one here, this is lactoferrin. You can see the lactoferrin is decreasing because it's destroying. Lactoferrin is very sensitive to temperature. And the temperature more than 75 centigrade will degrade the most of lactoferrin in the milk. Okay, so we can find for when we want to, when the lactoferrin being important for us, we should use the temperature less than 75 degree. This is very important for camel milk. I'm talking about that because camel milk lactoferrin is the highest and the strongest one. So if we can use the raw, it is better and it can work very well. But we are not sure about hygienic condition. If we be sure, it's okay. Otherwise, we should use pasteurizing. But pasteurizing, it will be in direct and mild. I mean the lower temperature, so the lactoferrin can save. Otherwise, by high temperature, we destroy all lactoferrin. More than 80% of lactoferrin, I'm sure, will be degraded by this temperature, as I said. So the raw is better than pasteurizing in a mild temperature. Is it okay?
Is fine. So you mean to say if I want to isolate the lactoferrin, it should be done from the raw milk, which will be the best output, I feel. Will get.
The highest, because lactoferrin is sensitive to heating.
Temperature.
Yes, temperature, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Tahereh, for your information. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Other question I cannot see. Can you share the other questions?
Yeah, sure, definitely. I'm sharing. Okay. Yeah, these are the few
Okay.
questions, ma'am. So, are you able to see?
Yes, yeah, I can see
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I'll,
I try my best for answering to these questions.
okay.
How is the effect of lactoferrin in human against COVID-19 virus? About this, I can say there is one research in China. They saw the breastfeed, only the breastfeed infants, the incidence of COVID-19 for this infant, I mean the breastfeed, or I mean this infant, they are they using milk. It was only 0.9% the incidence of COVID-19 for these infants. They said it's because of milk. Okay, but I think it can work, and maybe there is not much information about that. Only this research they did on Wuhan, China, and they saw that's why they said the infants only maybe the COVID-19 for them just be mild. No severe cases. They didn't see any severe cases for COVID-19 because between those infants that they are breastfeed or bottle feed. I mean, they using milk. The other question, the published data is from in vitro studies, so considering lactoferrin as a protein, how do a certain oral no, even there is some in vivo studies about using lactoferrin. Even the scientists, they are trying to make some tablet or some powder from milk lactoferrin as a drug. So it can help by, and I really don't know now it is available for using or not, but I know they are trying to make it. And you know, this is lactoferrin also, as I said, can produce in our cells, on the epithelial cells. In normal condition, it is in low level, and our epithelial cells, all of them, even the intestine and every cells, they produce lactoferrin, endogenous lactoferrin. And when one bacteria or one virus on something happened for our body or our cells, the cells produce high amount, maybe 200 milligram they produce in high amount during inflammation on every bacteria and virus. Okay, so the body can produce lactoferrin, but I was talking about the exogenous lactoferrin, I mean milk lactoferrin. So it will be oral. We can use it as oral, and I don't know it's available. But maybe in future they can produce it like a tablet or other supplement. But at least we can use milk. So I don't see other questions, Pawan.
Yeah, now you can see.
Okay, in the slide 22, it was mentioned lactoferrin neutralized. Yes, by which mechanism? Okay. I explained About the effect of lactoferrin or some viruses, and most studies on lactoferrin for as antiviral is on HSV, human. This one, I think, herpes simplex virus. For herpes simplex virus on other viruses, the milk lactoferrin do like that mechanism. It prevent the entry of virus into the host cell. So the replication of that viruses into the host cells prevented. The important mechanism for antiviral activity of milk lactoferrin is it bind to cell receptors. If I don't know, I can share again my presentation and show you again. I explained here. It will be better. You see here the antiviral activity of lactoferrin for viruses. So for many viruses, it is shown like this. You see, for ecovirus, respiratory viruses, and hantavirus, herpes virus, HIV, they did this research and they saw these mechanisms. You see, this is lactoferrin, this one. You can see here how lactoferrin binds to viral particles. This is one mechanism, and the other one is lactoferrin can bind to heparan sulfate receptor. This is heparan sulfate receptor. I don't know how I can show it. Here. This is I put my icon of my mouse. You can see this is lactoferrin. This binded cell receptor on the host cells. You can see this is the other mechanism. So this is the most important mechanism that lactoferrin do. Lactoferrin attached to these receptors on the host cells, on the cell surfaces, and it bind when it binds this receptor, so these viruses cannot go inside the cells. Okay, this is virus and this is the cell surface of host cells. So when lactoferrin bind the receptors, or when lactoferrin bind the this virus, so virus cannot go, and internalization of this virus and replication and making infection will be prevented. So it's same for many viruses. I mean, the mechanism of milk lactoferrin on many viruses is same like this, even for herpes simplex virus, as you asked. And the other question, you can share question, Dr. Pawan?
Yeah, ma'am, sharing.
Sorry. And I have a question: if lactoferrin to be produced on mass scale and the antiviral drug, what is the implication of such production in terms of livestock development, breeding, economics? I don't. What is your aim from this question? I really don't know.
I would like to request Dr. Pranav. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, sure.
Question?
Sure. First of all, thank you for the presentation. It was very nice, ma'am. My question is especially regarding if this is used in form of drug or in form of a supplement, and then it has to be produced on a mass scale in the market. Then what are the implications in terms of this development? In the sense, is it something that we can breed in animals? Is it heritable so that we increases the levels of this lactoferrin in, say, bovine animals? or is it something that has to be done on some specialized farms where they have this particular livestock production systems? In case of like other pharmaceutical companies, where like in zinc supplements and milk and so on and so forth. So can you say something about the practical aspect of this as a drug or as a nutritional supplement?
Yes, um, scientists, they are they hoping about that. They say we can make it as a good supplement, as a drug in powder or in tablet. But really, maybe they started to isolate it, and maybe not. I don't know. We can find it from some company, maybe they do. But I think if we can isolate this in a huge amount, we can isolate it. Maybe, yes, maybe really it has effect on everything you write here, development, breeding, economics, yes. If it be related to some genes, of course, we can work on it genetically, and maybe on gen transfer for this lactose. But in my idea, let I say my idea about that, it's better. I think at least I know if they can produce it, it will, of course, it will be a very expensive supplement. But in my idea, we can find it in milk. We can find it in milk, in real milk. We saw many studies, and they said at least in bovine milk, in 1 liter, we can find like 1 gram, I think, near 1 gram. Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely, madam. I can understand that, but I mean, if are there any sort of genetic studies being done to see whether this is heritable, or we can exploit this heritability to maybe select animals which have higher concentration of lactoferrin in milk, or do you have some indications on what sort of production or manufacture direction this particular milk component is going to go in?
Really, I didn't find any. I mean, I didn't study about this. Some
Hello?
I mean, yes. Hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Dr. Sangesh here.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Pranav, see, actually, we can manufacture in large scale through fermentation technology. Even the kappa casein is also produced through fermentation, RDNA fermentation technology. Even if you want, even lactoferrin can also be tried with the RDNA technology. It is possible. Papers are there. You can check that one. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think the last question, you have already answered this question. It's
Sir,
yeah.
After boiling, I should say, after boiling milk, you don't have any lactoferrin.
Okay.
Lactoferrin, it's very sensitive to temperature, and more than 75 centigrade, maybe more than 90% of lactoferrin will degrade. So for boiling, and you mean how 100 in 100 centigrade, we don't have any lactoferrin. So you can drink that milk without any lactoferrin. Hello, you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
go ahead. Yeah, we have think only two questions I think left. Yeah, we can hear.
The other one, I can explain about other question or
Yes,
no?
yes.
Time? After considering how long time it takes to start action of lactoferrin against virus. Okay, I said lactoferrin produced in our body as well, okay? So it works thinly in our body, in our cells. But after bacteria or one bacteria or inflammation or virus, if we face to these things in our body, then this lactoferrin increase. It's what about that lactoferrin when we drink? I mean the milk. When it needs time to digest that milk. When that milk digestion done in our stomach, then go to intestine and then absorb. It's absorbed. Okay. But don't know, maybe 1 or 2 hours, maybe. It depends to our digestion system, okay? But it should go to intestine for absorption. But one important thing, it's good if I say here, the lactoferrin can degrade in our stomach and produce some other peptides. They are more stronger than lactoferrin. So the lactoferrin start against viruses when it's digests in our digestion system and go to our blood. Then go to the cells, like other supplement, like other things, like carbohydrate, like mineral, like vitamins, like them, maybe after 1 or 2 hours. So people in Iran, I don't see Dr. Pawan again, please.
Yeah, 1 second.
Since I want
to. Yeah. Now you can. Yeah.
production high in taking camel milk is high in taking camel milk. No. Do you have any windows of association with camel milk containing? Okay. Unfortunately, in my country, we have only near 200,000 camels only. But in India, you have many camels. So we don't have many camels. And taking camel milk is not much here. But for COVID,
Pawan, may I be able to do? I think there is some connection issue.
Yeah, I
Doctor.
think. Yeah, you are audible to me. I think I'm lost connection.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, I think. Hello, ma'am. Can you hear us? Let me check.
Yeah, please check it out.
Yeah.
अभी नीचे इसको
Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, sorry. I think it's cut. Maybe the net problem.
Yeah.
Yes, I explained. You hear me?
Yes,
I
yes, go ahead.
explained yeah, I explained about the last question.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I explained. I said mm, they asked about using camel milk, and even
Yes.
and I saw any cases, any COVID-19 cases that required by camel milk. I said I asked some people they got COVID-19, and I asked them. Uh, mm, Hello, you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am,
ma'am.
go ahead.
Hello.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I asked them, please take camel milk daily, about 500 milliliters per day. I asked them, please use camel milk. It will work on your COVID-19. But until now, I didn't ask. Really, I didn't ask about their response. I don't
Okay.
know. They use, and I maybe after that I asked them again.
Yeah, okay. I think you have answered all the questions. So it was a wonderful discussion. Yeah, thank you, everyone. So I would like to request all attendees to fill the form which is provided in chat box, so we can send e-certificate to you. So now I would like to request our coordinators for closing remarks. Tausif sir. Yeah,
Hello.
Tausif sir, are you there? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Tahereh, to accept our invitation and give a lecture on a very innovative topic, milk lactoferrin as an antiviral agent and management of COVID-19. And thanks to all participants who join and patiently listen all the lecture given by her. I request all the participants and members, please visit our website, Association of Regulatory Affairs Professional website, www.arap.co.in. And you can go and check the membership option. We have a membership for regulatory affairs professionals. We have a membership for other members like ordinary member and independent member who are a consultant in industry. So please visit and go through our website and through the form and send the required details like some documents and required fees. So please join our association also. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Neeraj sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Pawan. And I am highly thankful to Dr. Tehran who gave a wonderful lecture on lactoferrin. So most of us are not aware about the lactoferrin and how it is effective in this current scenario of the COVID. Thank you, ma'am, again for this wonderful lecture. And this is a very knowledgeable lecture, at least for me. And I think the same for the other attendee. So I think India lactoferrin is a very we have a very limited information on the lactoferrin. And now onward, I along with my associate will search more on the lactoferrin and see how it is a beneficial to our society. So thank you to give us a lead for the lactoferrin. And as the panel is already discussed the lactoferrin and slide also said the lactoferrin also available in the buffalo milk, which is mostly drink by the Indian people. So a part of the drinking of the camel milk is very limited in India. But as a lactoferrin, we can be work on that the how the lactoferrin be provided to the Indian population. So I assure I will discuss this matter with our association, that is the Indian Association, IPA, Indian Pharmaceutical Association of Delhi State branch. Along with the center, we will try to do some more webinar on this lactoferrin so that the more and more people educated and learn about the lactoferrin. Thank you, ma'am. And here
Welcome,
I
ma'am.
request Dr. Pawan for the requesting the member from the student form. Over to you,
Yeah,
Pawan.
yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So, first of all, I would like to thank our guest people's Dr. Tejas Shende sir for his insights and Dr. Pranav Kulkarni. I think he joined from Netherlands. He's a PhD scholar at Utrecht University. Thank you, Pranav, for joining us, and thank you, Dr. Tejas Shende sir, for your insights. So now I would like to request Ms. Pranita Dage. She's our student forum member uh, for vote of thanks. So, Pranita, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So,
over to you.
okay. First of all, I would like to thank all the participants for taking out your precious time and being part of this wonderful webinar. I would like to thank today's speaker, Dr. Tahereh Mohammadabadi, for gracing this webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing such wonderful knowledge regarding milk lactoferrin as an antiviral agent. I would also like to thank President of ARAP, Dr. Sangamesh Pauranik, and President of IPA Delhi State Branch, Mr. Kalhan Bajaj, for his constant support and guidance extended towards us. I would like to thank Mr. Tausif Ahmad and Dr. Neeraj Kumar for their enormous cooperation in organizing this webinar. Last but not the least, I would like to thank Dr. Pawar for organizing such wonderful webinar. Thank you all of you for participating in this webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Pranita. So I think we covered all the things. So I would like to request all to leave the this meeting. We will meet again next Saturday at same time 2:30 with new speaker and new topic. So Dr. Neeraj sir, now you can end this meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you all of you for joining us.
Yeah.
Stay
Thank you,
connected.
Pawan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Pawan. And all attendee, here I request again, as the Dr. Toshif requested you, please visit our website for the membership. For the Association Regulatory Affairs, you can click on the www.arap.co in, and for the membership for IPA, you can click on the IPA membership branch, that is ipapharma.org/membership. You can opt our membership so that you can receive latest updates from of association. By this, thank you everyone for attending this wonderful meeting and looking forward again on next Saturday, that is 8th of August at same time 2:30 with another wonderful lecture. So for information related to that lecture will be posted soon on our social media platform and our YouTube channel as well. And also you get information from our WhatsApp. Thank you for attending this. By this, I am closing the meeting. So Pawan, can I close the meeting? And
Yeah,
the
sure,
meeting
sure, sir. Yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for everyone attending
Thank
this.
you to
Bye.
all of you, and thank you to
Yeah.
all of you, and have a good time.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you, ma'am.
And
So
good
we are looking
thank you.
again with you. So one of our members will remain in touch with you, and we will invite you soon for other webinar. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So by this date, I am ending the meeting. Thank you all for attending this meeting.
yeah.